Folks, welcome back to the show where we are all true Organas. We're talking, of course, about what's train wreck watching. Unless you've been hiding under a bridge or on a distant outer rim planet, you know that today was the debut of Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Jedi that Star Wars fans, played by Ian McGregor, legitimately have been waiting almost 2 decades to return to live action, 17 plus years. Let's get our panel in here. Someone who's, a little bit older than 17 plus years. Of course, we're talking my man, the Micah man. Micah, how are we doing on Kenobi Day?
Wow. Yeah, it snuck up on me. You hit me with the text that last week, like, hey, Obi-Wan next week. I really was like just in shock. So it was a great way to spend early evening last night as they surprised us with a midnight Eastern drop, which for me 11 Central drop. Gotta love that. I'm sure there were a ton of people that just binged it right away. And how could you not, the way those first 2 episodes went? It was really hard for me to turn off episode 1, go to bed last night, and wait to watch the second one today. It's been a great day. What a day for streaming with like an album drop day. Stranger Things and Obi-Wan Kenobi going into Memorial Day weekend. That's crazy, man. Like that's the first time I feel like we've had 2 big streaming only shows kind of go head to head on a weekend. Maybe I'm misremembering, but this feels like a pivotal thing in what we're going to see, like TV wise, and especially with these competing, streaming services wise as well.
Oh, they are absolutely breaking out the big guns. I mean, then you go into the theaters, you're talking about Top Gun Maverick coming out after an 18-plus month delay. You got Thor Love and Thunder on the way as well. So the theaters won't be slacking either. So it is going to be an absolute cinematic battle, whether you're at home, whether you're at the theater over these next couple weeks. But talk to me real quick. Obviously, we've fallen in love with Mando over the last couple years. Boba Fett all the hype was already on the wall for that one. Where would you put your hype going into these Kenobi episodes, maybe relative to those series as well as, overall?
I would say it's definitely higher than it was going into the first Mandalorian season, just because of the unknown, right? Like, didn't know what we were going into. Obviously, you were like, it was still looking forward to it, but you knew this is a known quantity in a story like that. Star Wars fans have kind of talked about this like period in between this time between what is now, I guess, in at least chronological order, the 3rd and 4th movie, that it would be just that time frame. What was Obi-Wan doing? What was that? And to have a story, however long this will end up spanning over, kind of fill in some of those gaps at least, is really dope. So I was definitely looking forward to it. But I don't know if it might have been about pretty equal as like the second Mandalorian season, just because we knew what we were getting afterwards and knew what it was going to tie into and everything else after I always come back to the Star Wars streaming event that is coming with some of these shows tying together. Just the way that they phrased that just made it seem like it was going to be a huge deal down the line. So that was exciting there. But this is tying together a lot of things. The first movie I think I remember seeing in theaters was Phantom Menace, and my parents would famously tell you I called it the frickin' Menace for a long time. Was confused why they called it Phantom after that. Frickin' just seemed more aggressive with that movie. But yeah, so this was a great like kind of full circle moment in that. So I was super excited, and it didn't disappoint at all.
Ton of hype. I agree. I don't think it disappointed at all. I messaged, we have our chats all on the side. I messaged our chat that I was enjoying it. Messaged this one other Star Wars chat, and I definitely thought they stuck the landing on these episodes. Just moments before we get into it here. Star Wars Celebration going on in Anaheim, I believe. It's been awesome to see the way that the cast of this show has been received there, as well as all the other streaming stuff coming. We got obviously Andor in the summer, as well as a bunch of other stuff on its way. Space Jude Law, tons of stuff.
Space Jude Law, yeah.
So yeah, a lot of excitement obviously coming out of there, and there's a lot of excitement in Kenobi. So let's get into the episode. From this point on, we will be spoiling stuff as we're reacting to the storylines that happen in Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2. So if you haven't watched it yet, go make sure you do that.
Spoilers,
but yeah. What a scene. We got Inquisitors, Jawas, and Jedi. Oh my, Micah. A world they instantly put us into. And Did you realize what was going on in that first scene before it
I was
started
gonna
breaking
say,
down?
how about the way they no, I start immediately knew what we were getting into. And I'm like, this is how you start off a show, like trying to pick up the pieces, because immediately any Star Wars fan is just thrown into a very visceral moment in their lives. Like, it just brought you straight back to how you were feeling when you're watching Revenge of the Sith for that first time. And then to see it come to fruition a little bit, at least, just see the chaos of it, at least. Proud of those little kids. That's my first note that I had, was just the young kings and queens that were running out of there. They were right away, like, they were ready for it. And we've got a theme of this is in very intelligent little children. That's the theme of the show, apparently. And that's how it started off right away. So yeah, it was a gripping way to start the show. It was really not, I don't want to say happy to see it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, you were enjoyed to be in something that you were familiar with and wanted to know more about, for sure. And then speaking of wanting to know more about, obviously we go to the outer sands of Tatooine. Got my dad calling me. He probably just watched Obi-Wan as well. Shout out fathers, obviously, which always play a big role in the Star Wars universe. We go to Obi-Wan and we see he smells bad. He's getting stuff stolen from him. He's having terrible PTSD nightmares. Seems like our guy is down bad and broken a little bit, Micah.
Yeah, man. I wasn't expecting to see him out and down this bad. Literally just like they were really selling home the very mundane life that he was living to, like just the bored looks, not only on him, on his little assembly line of whatever mystery meat they were cutting up, and on the transport back to the city and everything. Just the looks on everybody's, all the creatures and the people with him and everything. You could just tell like they weren't enjoying what they're doing, just trying to get by. I love how we have all these, like Tatooine. It's obviously Star Wars, space Western. Tatooine's a perfect setting for it, but it's just hilarious how it's this vast universe and we're just back here in Tatooine again. It's so familiar. Like, we literally just spent so much time there with all the stuff in Mandalorian, obviously.
As far as Star Wars viewers are concerned, Tatooine might as well be the capital, not Coruscant.
For real, man. Like, it really is like the center of the Star Wars universe. So that just hit, like, just seeing all like the familiar things and seeing this version of Obi-Wan in there was just interesting as well. But yeah, man, he was down bad for sure.
So we got a random Jedi we see running around a Tatooine ville. I'm not sure exactly what most that was. I'm not sure if it was mentioned. So, obviously points against me if it was mentioned. But we see them getting kind of lured out by the Inquisitors. And we see the Inquisitors' way of thinking. We obviously have the Grand Inquisitor. We got the third sister, Reva. What did you think of these guys? Obviously, we've had a little exposure to them in Rebels, we know a little bit about their processes, their kind of way of thinking in the dark side, things like that. What did you think of the live-action Inquisitor crew?
I thought it was pretty solid. They were definitely menacing coming in, like definitely like posed a good threat. I think that they still got to do some more explaining for background for people that aren't as familiar. Like, we basically just know that they're hunting Jedis at this point in this show. And maybe that's all we really need to know at this point. I mean, we do find out a little bit more of the tie-in later on, obviously, and everything. But just like more of the lore of the Inquisitors and everything else would, I think, be a little helpful. They don't need to spend a lot of time, but just a little bit to give the background on Grand Inquisitor. Like, what's his whole deal? Like, he's obviously doesn't feel the same, as there's obviously some tension within the ranks throughout there. So they obviously
that's my favorite part of one of my favorite parts of these first two episodes. Real quick, did you get kind of a Scott Hall Outsiders vibe when the Inquisitors rolled in? Like, why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, you know who I am? He did a little reverse. He does, you know who I am and you know why I'm here, instead of you know who I am but you don't know why I'm here. So he kind of flipped it up a little bit. So obviously we have that Jedi. Now, this is where we kind of confirm the brokenness of Obi-Wan. Obviously, we see that, the Inquisitor goes on the monologue. The Jedis hunt themselves. They can't, avoid the itch of helping out someone or doing what's right, yada, yada, yada. And we see this. I thought our boy Obi-Wan was about to get sand peopled. I thought he was going to get Tusken Raidered when I started to hear the noises. Then all of a sudden, it was this Jedi, and Obi-Wan basically just acts like he's not even him. He kind of gets it out of him at the end, but it's like the common thing that Obi-Wan through the first episode, he was always didn't want to help, even though you could tell he wanted to.
Yeah, Wait, he just like lack of confidence to be able to help. Like he figures
Yes.
if he in his mind in that moment, he's like, if I try to help this Jedi, he's just gonna end up dead somehow, or something terrible is gonna happen to me or him. So I'm just gonna tell him to screw off and do whatever. Yeah, he was very just like you could tell the morality, like the good in him was still there. He just didn't have the energy to go at it. But there was that caused some iffy moments early in this episode too, though. So I mean, it's he played it off really well. They made him look scruffy, made the joke that he smells really bad, which I don't know what kind of showers you're getting on Tatooine anyways. I'm not sure those people smell good regardless, but yeah, he was in a really bad just like mental position, and they didn't go way too deeper into that, but clearly like affected by the Force. They made the mention of him trying to reach out into the Force and talk to people, do whatever, get some advice, and that's obviously not playing for him. So they always mention that the Force is like a muscle, and so it's been 10 years, right? That's
Out of shape as hell. He's like he's like Bruce Wayne when he was in the Bane prison. He's got a workout regimen.
Yeah, he's got to start doing all those. You do just 1,000 push-ups in the day, like Herschel Walker. That's what he needs to get doing.
Now you go into this series, Micah, and you think, okay, I'm going to get 6, or these installments, and I'm going to see Obi-Wan protecting Luke. I'm going to see him avoiding the Inquisitors on this matter. I don't think anywhere in any promotion, anywhere in any brush, I think anybody thought Kid Leia was going to be playing.
Okay, so that wasn't only me then.
No, not at all. This is a monster swerve.
All right. Thank God. I thought here my strategy going into all this streaming stuff from now on and everything and all trailers is I'll watch like the first trailer when it comes out, and then like I just avoid everything. Like I used to be the person that read every Reddit thread, all these things. Like I would basically know the movie going into it, and I'd be fine with that. Can't do that anymore with any of this stuff. So I thought I just like missed like usually I see a casting something. This was the best part of this show, the first 2 episodes, has been young Princess Leia, and I didn't even know it was coming. So that's why I think I enjoyed it so much, because it was such a genuine surprise, and now I feel less crazy. So thank you.
Seriously, a pleasant surprise, or whatever the phrase is, to be sure. So we see her, and then of course I get just enough time to be like, oh my God, what a beautiful landscape on this planet, before I realize we're on Alderaan.
Yeah. It wasn't not ideal. Not ideal. But how smart, like I love them establishing her as just this kid genius right away.
Absolutely,
literally right away.
So this is where, like, and it was similar with Rogue One. Rogue One took the concept of the fault in the Death Star, or the faulty mechanism, or the fact that you can destroy it, and they turned that into a great storyline. Like, the whole movie was essentially about that. It was the thing bringing all these characters together. I think they did something similar here, where nobody really asked, how does Princess Leia know about Obi-Wan? At the end of the day, obviously, the father might have told tales, and obviously see, Mon Mothma plays Bail Organa plays a big role. I'm getting my Star Wars mixed up. Bail Organa obviously plays a big role in her, growth and transformation into an adult or whatnot. You could see that from the Jimmy Smits lessons that they're teaching. But
yeah, for sure.
Yes, it was just incredible to see, the growth and everything like that. So it was a very welcome surprise.
It was a lot of, like you said, a lot of emotions, because you see when they're on Alderaan, so you're like, oh my God, like I hope you don't get introduced to all these people and stuff. Like, who knows like what kind of roller coaster they're going to put us on, knowing what we know about what's going to happen with those people and everything. But it feels like they're going to be a big part of what's going on, this whole ordeal, because obviously we'll get to it later, but there's a lot of
we're making our way. Yeah. Making our way. And hey, folks, don't forget that Jimmy Smits, aka Bail Organa, was trying to tap in at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 was going down. He was trying to question what was going on. That's a real one. That's the realest of all ones.
He is a real one.
So yes. But we see, of course, Jedi continued on themselves. So this is the thing. Obviously Leia gets kidnapped. Probably a terrible scene, just to call a spade, them kidnapping her, like running through the woods, like just a little ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the thing. Okay. You have to admit a fault. And that was just a bad scene. It was a bad 90 seconds. They captured her, whatever.
How is that? How does Alderaan, like, she's always out there, and they have all this tech and everything. There's not like any security, not a camera in the woods, not a security guard that's like, hey, there's these 3 dudes in dark clothing chasing around a little girl. We should probably go check that out. And then when they did, they only sent 3 guys. Like you can't. You don't have more numbers.
Yes.
You
Oh
can't
no.
set
If we're looking for the
5
princess, yeah, I
numbers
think they were
game.
trying to establish that it's like such a common thing, and she always comes back that they weren't even really worried. So
For
it's
sure.
a little
For sure.
ridiculous, especially with a royal princess. Like when you know watching Game of Thrones, you know these people get held for like ransoms all the time. Like, come on, what the hell? But anyways, so that kind of brings on, and even then, so it was kind of good because you think like, oh, this is it. Then he's gonna go like do the quest, like Obi-Wan's gonna go. Still denies the Organas, even when they call. Like he refused the call.
Yeah, that
so
was messed up.
crazy.
That was messed up.
With that said, it's a PTSD thing for Obi, obviously, and I don't say that lightly. Like you can see it like on his face, you can see him in his reactions. But then he kind of they lure him out, and it's our girl Reva, who we can get into now as we kind of move into the second episode. Reva as the Inquisitors. I mean, obviously, we're supposed to think she's pretty reckless, but man, she is crazy.
She's nuts. She is terrifying. She is just like, when you have a villain that's so single-minded like that, it really, and give them like a good amount of power and a good amount of resources, it serves really well, because there's a lot of times I feel when you get with some villains that there's just like a lot of moving parts and you're like, what is this person actually doing this for? Like, she has one single focus. She is just trying to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. She knows this man is out there hiding. She thinks he is, well, we know reasons why she's doing this, but she knows that he's out there. And you've ever been in a position with your boss where you're right about something and they're just telling you that you're not right and you really can't do much about it? Like, everybody, you can just feel like that workplace struggle within her dialect the whole time. And that's where I felt a little sympathetic, but then I was like, wait, I don't know, like, you're still a psychopath.
Yeah, it is crazy. You can feel sympathetic as we move into episode 2, and this happens about a third of the way through episode 2. I mean, basically, the Inquisitor just says she's trash and garbage and like nothing. Like, it was really crazy.
He's like, you're not equal to us.
Like, at first, I was like, oh, we're gonna get some cool, like, they're kind of against each other a little bit in the Inquisitors in the first episode. And then the second episode comes, I'm like, no, this is just outright conflict. Like, these guys hate each other. So, hey, I mean, let's face it, we've all had those coworkers you can't get along with. So it's a perfect way to say it. Unfortunately, no TSA pre for my boy Obi-Wan as he takes a shuttle or public shuttle to Dayu, I believe it was called. Yeah. So this is an interesting area. Basically, it's a skeezy planet where you can't. The ship's transponders don't like activate, so people can go do like black market stuff. Was it?
You know what? It was Star Wars Madripoor that we got introduced to.
Yes, 1,000%.
It was all it was.
Absolutely, it would have been a great opportunity to get Depp. Can you imagine if they dropped Depp in this episode? But instead of surprise Depp, we get one step better. We get surprise Tamura Morrison as a clone vet. Oh my gosh, did you see it coming? What was your reaction here?
They can't keep him off our television.
Seriously,
they know what the people want. That was crazy. And you talked about earlier the PTSD. Like, oh my God, Obi-Wan seeing a clone just sitting there. Like, I couldn't even imagine what would have been going through his head in that moment. Yeah, that one, I was like, they're really they pulled out all the little tricks in these episodes. Like, it didn't take it over, like the obviously good surprise earlier, as we said, with Leia's involvement. And then you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense that would happen. Like, this is a moment that was like a nice little like Easter egg, but it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, this is still a world. It's only 10 years removed from such a drastic shift in this universe. Like, Jedi were such a power for so long and such just a symbol of just, guardians and everything else. So just imagine just all of them just, presumed gone and everything. It's just a world still reeling and still trying to like figure itself out. And I think that's going to be interesting if we get to explore more places to see like what the fallout has been for that in a lot of different ways.
So 2 things here. Obi-Wan hears that he's got some potential reinforcements on the planet in the form of a Jedi who, is played by, pardon my pronunciation here, Kumail Nanjiani from
who also just taking over the screens.
Seriously, Eternals, right? Everything. So he's dominating there. But I have to say this. Could Obi-Wan's disguise have been any worse?
No,
like
couldn't have been worse.
Literally the guy dressed up exactly like a Jedi.
A little later, when he changes out of a much better disguise into like an outfit that is like that is what a Jedi would be wearing if he was trying to disguise himself like as or someone was trying to disguise themselves as a Jedi. That's basically what he was thinking. He's like, I'm a normal person, so if I want to look, I don't know, man. I was with you. He didn't even like nothing over the face, nothing. Like you got sunglasses on. He couldn't find some like goggle thing. Just it was
unbelievable.
Like a 2 out of 10.
He could have used similar to Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. He needed to shave big time, but couldn't do it. My next note here is prior to the chaos at the end, Obi-Wan and Leia bonding is probably the most wholesome thing ever to happen in the Star Wars universe.
That little moment where he starts talking about Padme, it got me little teary eyed there, little cutting onions. I was just like, that's a really nice thing.
You also realize he's been like isolated for the decade too. I mean, this is basically
exactly. He's getting worked in she's running circles around him in conversation. Literally. Like she's got answers for everything. She's got questions for everything. I love how she's just like out in the open asking him about the Jedi, and he doesn't even have the wherewithal in this social situation to like tell her to stop. He's just so like. He's so out of his wits. I feel like he's not. He's sharp. He's still got tricks up his sleeve and everything, but it's not all there. And he can only do so much. Like she wasn't listening to him at all, but he wasn't really paying attention to her not listening, if you know what I mean. Like he would tell her and think she was going to do it.
Perfect portrayal of a kid. There nothing bad could happen. Just constantly asking questions.
Who is this actress? Who is this little girl actress? She is incredible.
She dominated. I give her credit. I was watching one recap and they were saying it looks like her name's Vivian Lyra Blair. So yeah,
Vivian Lyra Blair
to VLB will probably be getting a lot of opportunities in the acting world. Strong Leia
for sure. Yeah, and this is only 2 episodes. I mean, I can't imagine what we're going to see going forward. She was awesome.
So we're on Dayu. They're trying to track down Obi-Wan. They know he's on the planet. We have Reva, who's kind of going with the Batman approach, looking from the rooftops and seeing what's happening. And then you have the Inquisitor bringing in troops. What did you think of this sequence as we get down to we'll do the end recap as well?
Well, we talked about that tension, right? So the one point that we didn't mention yet is that she called the bounty out on everybody, which I think is going to. So I don't know what that reward is, but it seemed to get those bounty hunters activated for sure. They were all about that.
It was like John Wick-esque.
It really was, and that was. Also, I was wondering, like, when he was back in that alley, how that was not a great hiding spot. Like, there was a lot
terrible
of
hiding
there.
spot.
These guys were not very good bounty hunters on this planet. I don't think that's what I came away with.
It was almost like he was hidden, and then he got announced, and like all of a sudden his hood is off and his lightsaber's out, like blatantly. Like I don't know what's going on, but
I really don't. Why did he change into that outfit? He had this big orange thing. It had a hood. It had a face cover, and he's like, "We need to go into a disguise." And then he wears what he was wearing when he walked onto the planet. Like that's not a disguise, bro. That's your clothes.
Seriously,
I don't know.
100%. It's like it would be like if Doug wore like a green vest and like cargo shorts. Like obviously everybody knows that's his outfit.
Yeah.
And then wrapping up episode 2. So we had a ton of swerves in these episodes. Whether it was the fact that Leia was involved at all, whether we're on Alderaan, whether seeing the Inquisitors have some beef with each other, but all of the swerves could not have prepared you for this end episode. Reva steps aside to let the Grand Inquisitor be the one to capture Kenobi. And all of a sudden just sticks him.
All that hype.
Who's in the gutter now?
Bro, we got all these. I saw all these interviews talk about the Grand Inquisitor. I read an interview about his lightsaber the other day. That's what I literally read. They were like, oh, yeah, it's full go. We're going to see some crazy stuff with it. And who knows? Maybe we will. That lightsaber is still sitting there. But yeah, that was I wasn't surprised. Like it was like I thought it was a good moment, but it made sense for her.
I thought it was a great moment.
They pushed it. He was pushing her all the buttons the whole time. Like there was no interaction between them at any point that was anywhere near friendly. It was immediately tense. Like you could tell there was tension from beyond there. And obviously it's because she's got other agendas going on.
We did mention the Pirates trilogy or the movie series. Do you remember how there was that one guy who was like guarding Davy Jones' heart?
Yeah.
Like, and then everybody just got like wiped off the ship one time, and Davy Jones just like literally attacked him like in that moment. Like that's what it felt like to me. Everyone was kind of off the grid, and she sets the moment. Now, here's the thing. So obviously that ends the episode. And here's another good thing. A lot of this episode 1 and 2 footage was basically all from the trailer. I felt like I was seeing a lot of trailer scenes there. So that makes me think that, we've already kind of been shown everything, whether it was the hanging Jedi in the square, things like that. So I am excited that a lot of it will be new footage. As we roll on here, a couple more minutes left on Which Train Arc Watching. Episode 3 Predictions and Beyond. So I have a question for you. The Grand Inquisitor is alive in Rebels. Rebels takes place after this. So I didn't even think it was possible that he survived until I started reading the recaps, and people are like, well, he had to survive, right? And I'm like, I have no idea. Are there multiple dudes who look like that guy? Like, because now I'm thinking he might come back. He might have survived.
You're right. I think he has to. Then they're not going to mess up. They're not going to mess with that canon. They've been so good.
They've been very good.
They've been canonizing stuff that they want to canonize. Like they've been going through this process very diligently to get a timeline that is set that we can follow. So I don't think that would be on accident. Yeah, I don't think that they would just get rid of that show. That you're very right. It's a great point.
Well, again, thank you to Reddit for that one for bringing me back. But I got 3 things of speculation for going forward that I want to talk to you about. First off, Obi-Wan and this food that he keeps pocketing, 1,000% going to get caught, right? I was expecting him to get caught.
I thought he was going to get caught already. He's not he's not being subtle. He is just
the absolute lack of subtlety is Chris. He's like, bub.
It's this big cloth every day that he just flops on this table.
Where is our cloth, damn it?
So we are losing.
Okay, so he's definitely getting caught for that. That's for sure. Now, here's another thing I saw on Reddit breaking it down. There was a young African-American Jedi apparently in the first scene. Reva?
Yeah.
Apparently?
Oh. I mean,
so they're thinking that this might be
there has to be a reason that they showed that first scene.
So they're thinking this might be like a lifelong grudge. Again, this is all speculation because Anakin Skywalker was kind of like the hero. Like, in the Jedi Temple, right? Like, all the younglings, knew about him. Like, they wanted him. You hear that it's a downfall by him caused by Kenobi. That could cause you, to go to the dark side and hunt Kenobi, I guess. That's what they're thinking. Again,
she was just in the wrong room, apparently, of the Jedi Temple at that point then. But
seriously. One last one, and this is almost guaranteed. The communication with Qui-Gon. They ended the prequel recap with it. Obviously they showed him trying to channel that force power. You have to think that at some point he's getting, or 1,000% he's gonna link there, because then eventually he'll do the same thing with Luke and Empire Strikes Back.
Gonna be huge moment. We see Liam Neeson pop up on the screen. Yeah, I was right away when I saw him trying to do it at night when he woke up from that little night terror thing he had there in episode 1. I was like, man, once I see Ewan McGregor just down and out, no answers, doesn't know what to do, you think all is good, and then we're just gonna hear that voice come over, and it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful.
Seriously, it is gonna.
We got one last thing to touch on, though, don't we?
What do we got?
The very end of this episode.
What am I missing?
What do you mean? What am I missing? What is the last scene that you saw then?
I'm sorry. Okay, so he doesn't know that he's alive.
Well, yeah, he doesn't know that, but he's also where is he that he can sense him that close? Oh,
but you think he's nearby?
The look that they show on Obi-Wan is like he's sitting there and he's distracted. Leia's trying to talk to him, and then you can hear the breathing, and I feel like that's supposed to be him hearing the breathing as he's doing it. And
okay, I thought he was literally just having trauma from realizing that he was alive.
No, I think it was him, because
that was a big swerve, by the way. Did you know in episode 1 that he knew, or that he didn't know he was alive still?
No, I didn't.
That was a nice big moment too. Amazing. I just want to say I hate, because I love Star Wars and I know I lean to say it, but swerves and keeping it fresh are what it's all about. And they really, I think you said, they pressed all the right buttons with this. And
he's such an incredible actor. That's the thing. There's only so many people that can do what he did with his facial reactions and just showing the stress. And like you said, when he found out that Anakin's still alive in the first episode, he doesn't say anything.
And her saying Anakin Skywalker is still alive, nobody in the Empire refers to him as Anakin Skywalker. I feel like that's big too.
That is true. That is true. And it's a big question of, because it's only been 10 years. He's clearly not, I mean, we don't know how much are they going to show. Does he have to be in that thing all the time? Like, is it something that changes later on? Like, I want to know like who is in the inner circle at this point, because there's a lot of different people. When you look through Vader canon,
yeah, well, he's got probably a couple red Imperial guards, right? As we saw in Rogue One, and then he's got his like cronies who are like the Sith like scientists.
But I feel like those guys get shuffled around a lot. He's not a guy with a long temper, so I feel like we're gonna have a different. It could be a rotating cast. There might be a couple different cronies that we see throughout this wheel. But yeah, it was I was expecting that at the end of episode 2 to get that was what we were gonna end with. Made the most sense. Give us all the Obi-Wan and then give us just a little taste to come back. But it's gonna be interesting. And the kid Leia was amazing.
Seriously,
how about the fact? I didn't get to mention this. How about the other nice little touch to just an ode to Star Wars is that the first 2 episodes of this start out with rescuing Princess Leia again. Like, literally, they just bring us back. They bring us back to the origin, all the way full circle. And it's like, oh, Obi-Wan has to rescue Princess Leia. Like, that's hilarious to me, but also just perfectly well done.
Yeah, no, I thought that was well done. And the other thing with the poetry of it, again, is that the Inquisitor is the one talking like he knows everything. He says the Jedis hunt themselves. And that's what Reva did with Obi-Wan, obviously. Lured him right into that trap. So as much as, they're against each other, they're obviously listening to one another.
Yeah.
Hey, but speaking of listening to one another, make sure you're following along, folks. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. We will have weekly recaps of the Kenobi episodes. We'll get some guests here as well along the season. We might have Casali Files back along for a couple as well. So stay tuned for that. We will be coming back in just about 20-25 minutes with an AEW Double or Nothing preview, of course. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. Micah, any final thoughts here?
No, man. The first 2 episodes, honestly, I had high expectations and they definitely met them. I'm very excited about what we get for the month of June going forward. This is going to be such a fun show, and just so excited to see the little pieces they're giving us for this Star Wars event, man. That's all I keep thinking about for any of these shows. What is it going to total up to later on? I think we're going to find out a lot about that's going to, I don't know, whatever, inform us about more of that too. So they're tying it all together. This is a great start, though. Just great to be back with Obi-Wan.
I agree. They laid the perfect foundation. Can't wait to see what happens next with these characters. Because, here on What's Trainwreck Watching, it's not about next week's plans. It's not about next week's, meeting. On this, it's about saying hello there to next week's episode.